You're going to get the copy. You're going to get the postcard paper, right? And then right at number 3 where it says get their store email address. Now pause right there and look at this postcard, right? It says we pay the most for houses, right? And I'm going to get back to number 3. So this is your postcard template, and you're going to print this postcard template out on each sheet of your cardstock paper, which is going to give you 1,000 postcards. But let's read it real quick. If you print, as soon as you get these printed out and cut and all that and ready to go, this is what it looks like. So you say you want to get a house at 123 Main Street, right? So it's like, hey, you send this to somebody's house and they looking at it. They're like, we pay the most for your house. So they're like, all right, this person is going to pay the most for my house. So now this is you talking to them. I have been desperately trying to reach you for a few months now in reference to your property located at 123 Main Street. I have tried just about everything I could to get in contact with you, but nothing has worked. So I'm sending you this postcard. My partner and I buy 5 to 6 houses a month, and we're very interested in buying your property ASAP. We are cash buyers, and we can settle in 2 weeks. When I say settle, that means close on the deal, buy the house, right? Well, they'll get their money in 2 weeks. Now it says we have a team of general contractors who are ready to begin work as soon as possible. So if the property needs work, that won't be a problem. I'm hopeful that you will call me back as soon as you receive this postcard so that we can buy your property immediately. These are your postcards you're going to use, right? So getting back to number 3, you're going to get the store email address, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to send them this postcard template, which you don't have, but I'm going to make sure everybody gets an email tomorrow with this postcard template, okay? So you can do this tomorrow. I want everybody tomorrow to get these postcards done. If you're serious about this business and you're serious about making money, I'm giving you actionable steps that you can go do tomorrow. I don't want no excuses, all right? So once you get now back to this store email address again, if they give you the print me at staples.com, but what happens is if you send them this postcard template, it's going to automatically turn the file into a PDF, and you're not going to be able to put your name and phone number in the space provided, as you see on the bottom right hand corner. So if they give you that email address, say, no, can you give me the store's email address, because I don't want this file to be turned into a PDF, because once you get it, I need you to put my name and number on there. Now once they put your name and number on there, right, that's number 4. It says have them add your contact info and print the template on each sheet of cardstock. Once you do that, you're going to have them cut them in 4s, right? That's going to give you 1,000 postcards. Again, this is something everybody can do tomorrow. I will make sure that everybody gets this postcard template so you can do just that, all right? So you got your business set up. You got your postcards ready to go. You're ready to start looking for some deals, right? Now, let's talk about one really, really good way that you can find deals, right? Because we're going to get into finding deals now. So it's a website that I like personally that I buy lists from, and it's called listability.com, right? And as you can see on here, I put their phone number. It's 1-866-446-2055. Just pick up the phone and call that number, right? And when you call that number, you're going to be able to pretty much, order an absentee owner list, right? Now, what is an absentee owner? Absentee owner is somebody who owns a house, but they don't live there. You want to target absentee owners because absentee owners have a high probability, I guess that's the right word to use, of being motivated. And the reason why is because if they own a house and they don't live there, then the house could be vacant, not making them no money, and they're losing money because they're paying taxes, right? You might have heard me talk about this on the Breakfast Club. Also, they could have a tenant in the property that's tearing up the property, and they just, not paying rent, and the owner may want to get rid of it. That absentee owner may want to get rid of the house. Or the absentee owner could have a tenant in there who's taking care of the property and paying rent, and you can turn them into a buyer, right? Because that's what we're doing. Remember, when we're talking about wholesale, we're finding sellers getting their houses under contract or doing a contract of sale, which we're going to go over contracts in a little bit. And then you're going to try to find buyers to assign those contracts to. So once you call this number, you're going to pick your city and state, right? So you say, I'm just going to say it's me. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, right? So I'm going to say, hey, I need an absentee owner list in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm looking for single family or multifamily or both. It depends. You may want both. You may just want single family. You may just want multifamily leads, right? And then you're going to tell them that you're looking for 0 to 59% LTV, loan to value, which is about 41% equity or more. And basically that's just high equity. It's a lot of equity in the property. You want houses that have high equity. Okay. Then you can say something like you want the house to be owned for 5 years or longer, right? And then select your home value. Again, if you don't know the home value of where you at, you can just Google it. In Baltimore, I would do something like 50,000 to say 250, something like that. But wherever you are, you can just pretty much Google your home value, and that's where you want to go. And like, for example, I'll give you a really good example, right? Write this down. You may go into like Zillow.com, right? And you may put in, let's say I'm in, I don't know, Tampa, Florida, right? And I go into Zillow.com and I say, you know what? Let's say I Google like what's the home value and it tell me. And then I go in there and I say, you know what? I'm gonna look at the minimum of say 50,000 and a high of say 250. Then I want to see what are the houses on the low end, like the fixer uppers, like what are they going for? Are they going for 50,000, 60,000? What are investors paying for fixer uppers, right? And then I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna go up a little bit higher to around what people are probably like renovating them for somewhere around there, and I'll probably use that as my home value. So I may do 50 to 250, something like that, right? And that's how I would basically order my list. And then you can get as many as you want, or however many your area has. But this is a really good way to find leads, right? And so what happens is once you order this list, they're going to send it back to you in an Excel spreadsheet, right? You can have 1,000, 3,000 leads. Your phone will be jumping by next week, right? So once you get those leads, right, you're going to go to this website. It's called click2mail.com. Click2Mail. And what Click2Mail is a website where pretty much you can upload your list of absentee owner leads, design your own postcard template, and then have this system mail it all out so you don't have to handwrite a big list of 3,000 leads. This is a really good way of doing it. And if you're confused, if you don't know I don't know how to do this or whatever, all you got to do is call the customer service line and say, hey, listen, I just bought an absentee owner list. This is my first time doing a mailing. Can you walk me through it? They'll walk you through exactly how to get your mailing out. I mean, real quick. I mean, you guys can have your phone could be ringing by Monday if you do exactly what I'm telling you tomorrow. Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, give it some time. Maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, your phone will be blowing up with people looking to sell their houses. And the good thing is I'm going to tell you exactly what it is you need to do and what you need to say once they call you. All right? So let's move on. Oh, let me say this too real quick. When on here, right, you're going to have to design a postcard template. You can take the postcards template that I gave you already on the last slide or whatever it was, and then type that in, and then that way you'll have your postcards same way, just mailed out through Click2Mail. All right. Now let's talk about finding homeowners. Right. It's very important that you know how to find like owners in your area. So like I just kind of want to give you an example, right? Real quick. Let's say you're out driving for dollars, right? And now keep in mind, I wanted to show you like an automated way of like getting a bunch of leads, right? And I'm gonna tell you another automated way to do it first, but that was like through the buying the list. But now let's kind of talk about how to find owners on your own when you're doing your data mining or digging for motivated sellers, right? So let's first talk about how to find owners. There's a website called netaronline.com, right? And if you go there, once you go to netaronline.com, you're going to click on that tab that says Public Records Online. You see it says Home Environmental Data, then it says Public Records Online. So you're going to click on Public Records Online, right? And then once you go there, it's going to take you to this page. It's going to say Public Records Online Directory, and it's going to give you a map of the country. What you do from here is you're going to select your state, right? So it says here, select your state and then select your county. So let's just say I picked Maryland because I'm in Maryland. So I picked Maryland on the map, and then it took me here. And now I got to pick my county, right? So I'll just pick like Baltimore City right there. See where it say that, Baltimore City or Baltimore County. But then once I picked Baltimore City, it took me to this page right here. Now I have options, right? It says Baltimore City County Clerk of the Circuit Court. Then it says Baltimore City County Assessor. Then it says Baltimore City County Department of Finance. You want to click on the Assessor link. So wherever you are, if it says Assessor, that's the link you want to click on. So where it says online, go to data online, you just click that, and then it'll take you to the website where you can then put in like a street name or a street address and then find out, the street name and the street number, so you can find out who owns houses, which is very important. because you got to be able to pretty much, like say again, let's say you're driving for dollars, right? That's like a method of. Let me go back because I don't want to move ahead. Let's say you're driving for dollars. That's a method where you pretty much go out and find vacant properties, write the address down, and then once you write the address down, you just basically go to your tax assessor website, find out who the owner is and their mailing address, and then send them a postcard. Those same postcards that you got done at Staples tomorrow. All right. So that's something you can do tomorrow, right? That's an actionable step. You can go out tomorrow and you can ride around your area. I would say low to medium income area. Don't go in the hood though, like, because I'm saying like it. I'm saying where I'm from, I don't want to go in the hood because it just ain't really like that much. And a lot of investors don't want to buy there. Like I want to get the most, what do you call it? Highest probability of a sale. So I try to stay out of the war zones. But anyway, good areas, find some vacant properties in these medium to low to medium income areas, right? Write the address down, go on the tax assessor website, find out who owns it and their mailing address, and send them a postcard that you're going to get at Staples. This is something you could do this weekend, right? So there's no excuses. All right, so now let's talk about skip tracing the owner to get their contact information, right? Let's just say that you want to call people instead of sending them a postcard, right? Then you can do what's called skip tracing, and you can find the owners. You can get their phone, their contact, their phone numbers, right? So, like for example, let's say you find out who owned a house, but you don't want to send a mail, right? You want to call them instead. You can go on these websites. One is called benverified.com. You got another one called Private Eye. You got one called thatsthem.com. You got one called Spoke.io. And actually, that says Spoke, but you got to put an O on the end. That's a typo for me. But it should be Spoke.io, Spokeo.com, right? And then another one is called TLO.com. These are websites where you can go find the owner's phone numbers, all right? All right, so let's talk about pre-foreclosures, right? We're getting into, finding sellers. Now, we talked about two ways of finding sellers so far. We talked about absentee owners, getting a list on listability. We talked about driving for dollars, right? Riding around, finding vacant properties, and then going to your tax assessor website and send them a postcard, right? And now let's talk about pre-foreclosures. Now, a pre-foreclosure is this, right? Let's just say somebody has an American dream and they go out and they buy a house for the first time, right? And let's say they lose their job and they get behind on their mortgage, say 90 days. What happens is they'll get a NOD or a notice of default, basically saying like, hey, you're behind on your mortgage. We're about to start the foreclosure process. So the foreclosure proceedings have started, but it's not foreclosure. It's in a stage called pre-foreclosure, and within the pre-foreclosure stage, you can do what's called a short sale. And a short sale is when a bank is willing to accept less for a house than what it's actually worth, right? And this is a method that wholesalers can use to create equity, because if it's a pre-foreclosure, likely they're underwater and there's no equity, but you can create equity if a bank is willing to take less for a house than what it's worth. And this is one of the reasons why it's very important, why if you're serious about this, you should really get involved in Alex and I's 6-month coaching program, because we're going to be helping you out with the short sale process. There's a lot of opportunities in pre-foreclosures, and that's why I put this on here. And the reason why is because a lot of investors don't really know what they're doing. Fortunate enough for me, I have a partner who is a short sale expert that I partner with deals on. So when you come across these leads within our 6-month coaching program, we'll walk you right through it. All right. So how do you find these pre-foreclosures? Oh, again, you can go to realestatemoneyclub.com/coaching. All right, seating is various spots are limited. If you want to work with me and Alex for these 6 months, I'm telling you, it's something that you don't want to miss, right? So let's talk about getting these pre-foreclosures, right? You can. What I want you to do is, right, I want you to go to your circuit courthouse, right, and you can find it online, wherever you got to go to find your pre-foreclosure list, whatever circuit courthouse it is in your city. If you're in Baltimore, you're going to go down to the courthouse on Calvert Street. It's the Clarence Mitchell Courthouse building. It's the one with the post office in it. And you go up to the fourth floor, and you go to the pre-foreclosure unit. Okay. Now, when you get there, you're going to ask for the mortgage foreclosure list or the pre-foreclosure list or notice of default list or something like that. Usually costs like 25 cents a sheet, but it'll give you all of the it'll give you all of the pre-foreclosures. Now, if you're in Maryland, keep in mind that there's laws in Maryland that protects homeowners in foreclosure. So when you get this list, just be sure not to mail anyone who's actually living in their property, only absentee owner. You'll know if they're absentee owner because their mailing address will be different than the actual address. So that's just in Maryland, though. I don't know about most states don't have that, and you can, go do whatever you want. Some people door knock, whatever. All right. Another way that you can find these pre-foreclosures on a website called realtytrack.com, okay? You go on the RealtyTrack, and you can find pre-foreclosures there as well. All right, so that's another site that you can find these pre-foreclosures on. Again, a really great source of leads, a really great source of deals. This is why I put this in here, because I want people to see some, what do you call it, some type of results. You know what I mean? I'm trying to give you guys things that are going to give you some really good results almost immediately, if you know what I mean. And I think this is a really good one. So make sure you take these steps. You got your postcards already. You know how to find, who owns houses. I mean, the list, but these lists will actually tell you who owns it and give you the address and everything. All right. All right, so let's talk about another way of finding deals. One of my favorites is called probate. Now, probate is a process in which someone inherits a property from someone who died. Why would these people be motivated? Well, let me tell you this real fast before I get on it. Why do you think someone in pre-foreclosure would be motivated? Because they're trying to avoid foreclosure, right, on their record. So, and they obviously they're not paying, they're not paying their mortgage. And let me say this too about the pre-foreclosures, which is good. A lot of times banks are giving sellers incentives just to go through with the short sale process. Okay, so that's like because banks don't want to take the house back, and if the seller decides to walk away, then they got to foreclose on it. So keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the probate. Somebody would be motivated to sell their house. Let's just say someone passes away and somebody in 5 states over inherits the property. They already got a wife and kids or a husband and kids and family. They didn't think about that house. They may just want to get rid of it, right? So these are good opportunities for investors like us to, get in touch with some motivated sellers, right? So how do you find it? Now, you just go to Google. Like I tell people all the time, Google is your friend, and you want to look for your Register of Wills department, right? So here, as you see, I put Maryland Register of Wills, and the website came up, Office of the Register of Wills, estate search, because you want to do an estate search. You want to search estates, and yeah, that's what you want to do. And if you look at the second screenshot that I took, it's like the website for Maryland. It says the Office of Register of Wills. So what I would do is I would select my county, Baltimore City, Baltimore County. I would put in the range of of the listings I'm looking for. So I may go a year back. So I may put from August 29th, 2018 to August 29th, 2019. And I'll just pull up those records. But what else you could do is once you find that, here's what I want you to do. This is a homework. I want everybody to put this in. Remember, it's 95% mindset, 5% real estate. I want you guys taking action, right? So tomorrow, if you can, find out where your Register of Wills office is and take a trip down there. When you get to the Register of Wills office, you're going to ask the clerk, say, hey, do you have an online resource where I can If not, you may have to search the records there in the office. But here's what you want to look for, right? You want to look for the personal representative or the executor of the estate. This is the person who has inherited the property, and their name and mailing address will be public information, so you can send them a postcard. Now, you also want to find out who's the descendant. Now, the descendant is the person who died. So oftentimes you're not going to know the actual address of the house that's in probate, right? So you're going to have to do something like this. On your postcard, right, where it says, attention, I want to buy your property located at. If the person who died is John Smith, then at the estate of John Smith, or John Doe, at the estate of John Doe, I want to buy your property located at the estate of John Doe. Then you turn your postcard around and you address it to the executive of the estate or the personal representative. Make sure you also, too, tomorrow, I want you to go to the post office and get some postcard stamps. All right, make sure you get postcard stamps because we're using postcards. They're about 35 cents a piece, and they're a lot cheaper than regular stamps. So you can get about, $35 for 100 postcards. You know what I mean? So this is something you can do tomorrow. All right, this is all things you can do tomorrow. I don't want no excuses. I want you to get out here and do it and start making these steps. All right. Now, another website that I want you to check out is called lawyers.com, right? Now, because on lawyers.com, you're going to find, oh, let me say this too. Let me say this. When you're down at the Register of Wills office, right, it's oftentimes there are probate attorneys, right, who are handling the case. So if you see one, you're going to also send them a postcard as well, because the probate attorneys are working hand in hand with the executor or the personal representative. So if the personal representative don't hit you back, the lawyer may hit you back. You know, they may not be as emotionally tied to the situation, and their money motivated. They get paid when these things sell. But not only that, if they're probate attorneys, they're probably oftentimes working other probate cases that they may refer to you. So I tell people all the time, it's very important that you build relationships with these probate lawyers, which brings me to lawyers.com. So I went on here and I put in Los Angeles, California, wills and probate, and this is what I came up with, right? Some probate lawyers on here, two people. As a screenshot of it, but you can do this in any area you in. Just put your city, you know what I mean, on here. Now, what I urge everybody to do is to try to build relationships, you know, with these probate attorneys. And I tell people this too is very important. You can go get you a nice greeting card. It could be one of those papyrus cards or something really nice, and you could, say you got 20 probate lawyers, right? You may send all 20 of them a card, just introducing yourself, letting them know what it is you do, and you buy houses, and if they have any probate or estates that they're looking to sell, then hit you, please reach back out to you, and things like that. And you may say something nice in the card. I tell people all the time, like, you never know what type of day they may be having. They may be having a bad day, and you might light their whole day up, and now they may want to work with you anytime some probate deals come across their desk. So that's very important, all right? Now, we already talked about driving for dollars. That's pretty much looking, going out, riding around, looking for properties that look vacant, like this one here with the boards on it. It could be high grass. It could be no, blinds in the windows, things like that. I mean, most of us know a vacant property when we see one, right? And then you just take down the property address and you contact the owner, like we already talked about. But there's also an app called Deal Machine. And as you can see, I took a screenshot, right? It's called dealmachine.com. And this is like an app you can use where you can like take pictures of the properties, get all the information, all that kind of. It's like a whole driving for dollars done for you system. It's pretty automated. I urge everybody to go ahead and check that out when you get a chance. It's called Deal Machine. All right, it'll help you a lot with your driving for dollars. All right. Now, let's say you sent out postcards to your probate, your probate folks, and you sent out cards to your absentee owners, and you sent out cards to your your pre-foreclosure people, right? And then now you're waiting for your phone to ring. So, and also too, I'm going to send everybody this script as well, so you all can have it and print it out, so you're ready for your phone to start ringing when people call you. And it kind of goes like this, right? The seller will call you, right, and you'll answer the phone. Seller, hello, may I speak to blank? Right, the seller calls you. So let's say it's me, Mark. So the seller's like, hello, may I speak to Mark? And you're like, yeah, this is Mark. How you doing? You sent me a postcard regarding my property at 123 Main Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21218, right? So I'm like, yeah, my partner and I, we're looking to buy property in that neighborhood, and we're very interested in yours. We're cash buyers, and we can close very quickly, usually in about 2 weeks. I wanted to touch base with you to see if you'd be interested in selling at this time. So the seller says no. So then you're going to automatically ask them, do you have any other properties that you may be interested in selling? Because, they may have something else if they don't want to sell that one, right? But if they say yes, then you're going to ask these questions. You're going to say, well, is the property vacant? How long has it been vacant? How many beds? How many baths? How many levels? Is the property a row home, detached, duplex? What needs to be done as far as repairs are concerned? Do you own the property free and clear of liens? How fast do you need to sell the property? How much do you need for the property? You're trying to gauge their motivation, right? Then you'll say, well, do you have a mortgage on the property, right? And if so, what is the principal balance, right? Meaning, if that American dreamer guy that went and bought that house, with the mortgage on it, basically if you took out a loan for $100,000 and you got to pay, say, $1,000 a month, then that's your mortgage. That $1,000 is your mortgage, right? And what's the principal balance? Well, the principal balance is whatever you owe on the mortgage. If it was $100,000, that's your principal balance, right? So if they say yes, right, that they are current. Wait, hold on. Do you have a more? Yeah. If they say yes, are you? Wait, hold on. Yes, if yes, let me start over. Everybody, bear with me. Do you have a mortgage on the property? If so, what is the principal balance? If yes, right, meaning, that they have a mortgage, then you ask them, are they current on their payments? Okay, and if not, how many months past due? You're asking them that because if they're 90 days past due, then you're looking at a pre-foreclosure situation. Okay, then you're going to say, look, I make my offers contingent upon the condition of the property. When can we meet at the property? Always be closing. ABC, baby. Always be closing. When can we meet? Don't ask them, can you? When can we meet at the property, right? Now, this is just a note for you. If the house is boarded up, right, you're going to ask them if your partner, and you can go with the contract and replace the board when you leave, right? And then you just make sure you get all the seller's contact information, cell phone, home phone, email. You want to, get all the information as much as you can, right? Now, the reason why you're asking these questions is because you want to start to, find out the home value of the house before you even go out there. Because if you know the home value of the house before you get there, then you can just basically plug that into a formula, which we're about to talk about in a minute, and be able to make an offer right there on the spot and hopefully get the house under contract so you can start looking for other investors or end buyers who you can assign that contract to. All right. So let's talk about analyzing the deal. All right. Let's get a drink of water. Hold on. All right. So we're going to talk about analyzing the deal, right? Now, the first thing you're going to do is, right, you got to find the comparable sales. Now, the reason why we asked about how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, right? Because we have to start looking for houses that are comparable that have sold, meaning that if this house that we're in questioning or the house that we're looking at is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, then we got to find some other 3-bed, 2-bath houses and find out what they're selling for so we can find out what the home value is of the one that we're looking at. See, you can know the home value of a house without even seeing it. You know what I mean? Well, no, you can't really. Yeah, you can know the value without seeing it because you're going to look at what the other houses are selling for. So, for example, right? Let's say a house is tore down real bad, but you know that when it's fixed up, it's worth, say, $300,000. It may not be worth $300,000 now, but you know what it's going to be worth once it's renovated, right? You can find it out before you get there. Then when you get there, you find out what the repairs are, so you can work your formula and find out how much you have to make an offer on this house, which we're going to talk about in a second, right? So one way to find these comparable sales is from a real estate agent. Real estate agents have what's called the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service, which is what real estate agents use to buy and sell, right? They use this to buy and sell real estate. And, when a house sells on the MLS, it's recorded. And it's pretty accurate. It's like, a really good way of basically finding comparable sales. Another way you can do it is from online comparable sales websites. Okay, so if you're not a real estate agent, if you don't have one that can send you comps, you can still get these comparable sales online. All right. So what are comparable sales, right? Comparable sales are simply houses that have sold, that are comparable to your subject property, right? So what you need to do is you need to find 3 to 4 houses that are similar in numbers of bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and property type. All right, the square footage is important. If you got a 1,500 square foot house, you can't compare it to a 2,000 square foot house. I try to stay within 200 square feet. All right, now, these houses need to be sold within the last 6 months or within 6 blocks or half a mile of your subject property. So keep that in mind. 3 to 4 houses that have sold with the same, similar in number of bedrooms, baths, and square footage and property type. When I say property type, if it's a detached house, you want to look at detached houses, duplexes, stuff like that. And again, they have to be sold within the last 6 months and within 6 blocks or half a mile of your subject property. All right, so getting comparable sales online, right? There's a website called realestateabc.com. All right, realestateabc.com. And there's another website that you can check out where you can get comparable sales. It's realflow.com. And you can just go ahead and use my link. It's realflow.com/Mark-Witten. All right, but let's talk about realestateabc.com real quick. All right, here's realestateabc.com. And what I did was I put in an address. I believe this is in Baltimore. Yeah, this is in Baltimore, right? So look where it says subject property, right? And again, just go to realestateabc.com and you can put in an address and get the comparable sales of the address. I like this site because it gives you square footage, bedroom, bath, everything you need, right? So I put in, for my subject property, I put in 1427 Walker Avenue, which is a 3-bed, 2-bath house. It's 1,800 square feet, right? 1,824 square feet. All right. And that's what I'm looking at. So remember, we got to find houses, right, that have sold within the last 6 months, within a half a mile, that are similar. All right. So let's look at what we got. Let's look at the first one. We got 1405 Shefford Road, right? 0.4 miles, right? So that's within a half a mile. It sold in March of this year. So that's within 6 months. And it's also a 3-bed, 2-bath, right? And it's not that far off of the, it's a little over 200 square feet. I would probably use it if I had to. If I didn't have any more to use, you know what I'm saying? But I would kind of want to stay a little bit closer to that square footage right there that we see. So as I look down more, I'm looking down the list now. I'm trying to find something close to that 1,800 square feet. That's similar. That's pretty much what we're looking for, right? So keep in mind, same beds. Beds and baths. Date, you don't want to go past 6 months, and you don't want to go over a half a mile. All right, so you can find, again, you can use this website to find, the recent sales in your area. And what you do is, once you find these comparable sales, which, excuse me, oh, give me 1 second.
Wow, weird.
Oh man! All right. So once you find these, right, you're gonna get 3 or 4 of the highest sold, comps. You're gonna add them up, divide it by that number. That's gonna give you the ARV, or the after repair value, which we're about to talk about in a second. But here's a repair estimate sheet. I just threw this in here just because really, everybody should have got this already, because I emailed it to everyone. But this is important because once you find out what the after repair value is, you add those numbers up, you got to know the repairs of the house too. So I need you guys to take this with you when you're going out looking at these houses, right? So now, how do you find the after repair value? We kind of talked about that already, right? So what you do is you find 3 to 4 of the highest sold properties that have sold within the last 6 months, within 6 blocks or half a mile of your subject property. You add the sold prices and then divide by that number, divide by the number of properties found. So let's say you got, one sold for 130, 131, 135, one sold for 127. You add it up, you get 523. You divide it by those number of properties, which is 4, and you get a 130 ARV. Okay, so now the after repair value of the house was 130,000. How do you determine your offer, right? You got to take 65% of the ARV minus the repairs. That's what an investor will pay. All right, so an investor will pay 65% of the after repair value minus the repairs, right? So, for example, I'm just give you a real example real quick. Let's say the after repair value is 100,000 for good math, right? 65% of that is 65,000. If the repairs are 20,000, then you know that the most an investor will pay is 45,000, right? So I try to make at least 10,000 on every wholesale deal. So I would probably offer like 25,000 to give myself room to at least go back up to 35 and negotiating with the seller, which will, or say 30, give me some room to negotiate with both, and I can still try to make my $10,000, assigning the property. But that don't mean you can't go lower and try to make 20,000, 30,000. You know what I mean? So, all right. So now, with that being said, right? So basically, what we did was we set up our business. We got our marketing set up, our postcards. We know some ways to find deals. We know how to contact sellers. We know what questions to ask when they call us back. We know how to get the after repair value by finding the comparable sales, right? We know about repairs because we got our repair estimate sheet, and we pretty much know what type of offer we need to come up with. So now we're at the house, right? And we gotta go through these contracts now, so that way you can understand, exactly what it is that you got these people signing and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna go through it, and everybody should have a copy of the contracts, right? So we're gonna get into it. All right, here go the first one, right? Now I want everybody to make sure y'all filling these out. I asked for everybody. I don't know if my team should have told y'all to print these out. So if you got it printed out, that's great. If not, look what just came in. The jar of all the names for the $50,000 cash giveaway. I'm looking at it right now, and we're going to get to it soon. Oh, man, this is exciting. I can't wait to find out who. You know what? I hope everybody gets a fair chance to win this money, but, I really hope and pray that whoever gets it is somebody who really needs it. That would be just amazing. Because I know some of you out there are just probably millionaires already, just looking for another way to make some extra money. And I'm not saying you don't need the extra 50,000, but I just hope it's somebody that really needs it. I mean, that'll just, oh man, this is amazing. It feels so good. But anyway, all right. And listen, this information I'm giving you all too, you can go and make $50,000. You know what I mean? 50,000, 100,000. Hopefully you guys will be joining me and Alex for our 6-month coaching program. Again, it's realestatemoneyclub.com/coaching. All right. So let's get into this contract. Okay, this contract right here is what I call the no EMD, no earnest money deposit, right? And this is where it comes. This is what we talk about: no cash, no credit, right? We're not going to be putting down no deposits on these houses and nothing like that. It's nowhere here where you have to. But sometimes an investor, if you're dealing with certain savvy investors, whatever, they may require you to put down a deposit. And I got a contract for that too. But 99% of the time when you're dealing with a motivated seller, they're not worried about getting no deposit from you. They just want to get the deal done. You'll see that too. I've probably, in all of my years of doing this wholesale, I've probably been asked maybe 10 to 15 times for a deposit. All the deals I've done all this time. So trust me, you'll see what I'm saying. So, all right, let's go through this contract, right? It says, so you're at the house now, and we know how much we want to offer. Let's say we want to offer $100,000 on this property, right? Let's say it's worth $500,000, right, for just good math. So it says, today's the 29th, so everybody follow me, right? It says we're filling out the contract now with the seller. It says this agreement made this 29th, right, day of August 2019, by in between, let's say the seller's name is John Doe. Okay? So this agreement made this 29th day of August 2019, by in between John Doe, seller, right? And let's say this is going to be our main LLC. Let's call it, I don't know, let's call it 50K Home Buyers. 50K Home Buyers LLC. Okay? Hold on, everybody. 1 second. Hold on. All right, my bad, everybody. All right, so we almost done though. We should be wrapping this up in about probably like another 40 minutes or so, and then somebody gonna hit this jackpot. But anyway, all right. So this agreement made this 29th day of August this agreement made this 29th day of August, right? By and between 50K home buyers. Hold on, seller. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me start over. This agreement made this 29th day of August, right, 2019, by and between John Doe, seller, and 50K Home Buyers, LLC, buyer, right? Now, it says settlement shall take place within, you can put 30, right? 30 business days, or this contract will be null and void. So that means you got 30 days to buy this house or find a buyer, okay? That's all that means. Now, this agreement is subject to and contingent upon, I want you to put inspection right there. Put buyer inspection, okay? Buyer inspection. This agreement is subject to and contingent contingent upon buyer inspection. What does that mean? So if you make a contract contingent upon inspection, that means that you can get out of this contract at any time based off of an unsatisfactory inspection. So you may say, you know what? Say you can't find a buyer, right, or somebody to assign this contract to. You know what? I don't want it. It didn't pass my inspection. It could be anything. The toilet did. Whatever you didn't like in the house, you could say, you know what, the paint over there is chipping. I don't want it. And you can get out, okay? Now, it says buyer will have immediate right of entry and the right of possession for obtaining estimates from private lenders, general contractors, and general informational and inspection purposes. You want to put that in there because, let's say you're actually buying the house, right? Then you want to have your lenders go in there or your general contractors and all that kind of stuff. That's just giving you access to the house. If you wholesaling it, that'll give you access to the house to bring your buyers in there as well, okay? And you also, too, you want to just ask the seller, keep this in mind, once you get the house on the contract, just a note, you want to ask the seller if you can put the property on a lockbox, okay? And just let them know that you're going to make a copy of the key and put the key in the lockbox and make sure that they get a copy, and make sure that they know what the code is. You know what I mean? Just let them know because, you got to bring your people in there and you don't want it to bother them. This is the house is vacant. If the house is not vacant as a tenant in there, I would recommend that you always go there when you're showing your buyers, all right? Now, moving on. It says, this property is being sold in its as-is condition. Seller does hereby sell and convey unto buyer, and buyer does hereby purchase from seller the real property known as 123 Main Street. 123 Main Street. All right, and then I'm just going to put Baltimore, Maryland, because I'm in Baltimore. So Baltimore, Maryland, then I put 21205 or something like that. So everybody just put that in just to follow along with me. 123 Main Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21205. Now, it says, including all improvements, appurtenances, rights, privileges, easements, and other property and interests existing thereon and benefiting, belonging, or thereto pertaining in fee simple, which is pretty much somebody owns the house and the land. Leasehold estate is like ground rent. Like it's kind of popular in Baltimore. Like somebody owns the ground, you got to pay like a ground rent. And then a condominium is just a condo, but you don't even got to worry about this. Like I don't even never check this stuff off. It really don't matter. It's just really taking up space in the contract, honestly. So now remember, we're paying $100,000 for the house, right? Well, that's what we're offering. So buyer will pay. Then you're going to write out $100,000, and then in parentheses you're going to write it numerically. So number sign 100, comma 0000. Right now it says at settlement, a deed of special warranty and further assurance will be executed by seller to convey property and all interest therein to buyer. Okay. Right. Title will be good and merchantable, free and clear of liens and encumbrances. If seller is unable to convey title free and clear of liens and encumbrances, this contract is null and void. Okay, so a deed of special warranty is basically like, it's not like a quick claim deed. You probably don't know what that is, but a special warranty deed is basically like you giving somebody free and clear a title, like it's insured, like you're not going to have to worry about nobody coming against the deed, like for a claim or anything like that, right? And again, the title has to be good and merchantable, like you can resell it. It's got to be free and clear of liens and encumbrances, right? And if the seller can't convey the title to you free and clear of liens and encumbrances, then the contract is null and void. And this next blank spot, what I want you to put in here is I want you to put buyer will pay transfer and recordation cost. Buyer will pay transfer and recordation costs. So let's talk about that, right? We're getting into closing costs. Anytime you buy a house, you have what's called closing costs, and there's two sets of closing costs, right? The first set, not in really no order, but the first set of closing costs is the cost that that the title company will attorney, whatever, is going to charge you to do the legwork, record the deed, do all the paperwork, get everything together. That's how they pay their bills, right? And then the second set of closing costs is the transfer and recordation costs, right? And that's the cost to basically transfer and record the deed. It's like state charges, basically. And that's customarily split between the buyer and the seller. So the reason, okay. The first set of closing costs was the main closing cost, right? That's always paid by the buyer. Anyways, always that's the buyer. That's why the buyer can choose their own closing attorney or title company, right? Because everyone's paying that cost. But the transfer and recordation cost is customarily split. The reason why I put buyer will pay the transfer and recordation costs is because a lot of times it helps you in negotiations. You may say, well, listen, I'll pay all closing costs. I'll pay the transfer and recordation costs. A lot of times it's not that much, but it seems like it is, and it can help you get probably 10, 20,000 off the, down even lower just by saying you'll pay the transfer and recordation costs. But remember, you're not paying it anyway because you're assigning the contract. So, if you're making 10 grand on the assignment, you're making 10 grand on the assignment because whoever you're assigning the contract to is the person that's going to be really paying that transfer and recordation cost, right? And let's talk real quick about finding title companies and closing attorneys while we're at it. Some states require an attorney. It's like an attorney state. So the seller an attorney, the buyer get an attorney, and they kind of do it like that. And then you have title company states, which is like Maryland. We have title companies who do these closings. So you can find out just by a simple Google search, who does these in your area. So another homework assignment that I would recommend everybody do tomorrow is get on Google and find that out. Are you in an attorney state or are you in a title company state? And once you find out something, give them a call. Hey, I'm Mark Whitten. I'm an investor here in Maryland or DC or LA or wherever you're at, and I'm an investor, and I buy and I wholesale. I assign contracts. I just want to call and build a relationship with you. Everyone does assignments. I mean, that's nothing out of the ordinary. It's common practice, right? So get yourself hooked up with a title company or an attorney so you can get these deals done, right? Now, seller will cure. I'm moving on now. Seller will cure at their own expense any outstanding liens, encumbrances, or judgments. Ground rent, water, all taxes, and all other public or governmental charges or assessments against the property which may be payable on an annual basis shall be adjusted and apportioned as of the date of settlement and are to be assumed and paid thereafter by the buyer. If the property is tenant occupied, seller will immediately advise the tenant of the sale. So basically what this is saying is this, right? When it says ground rent, water, all taxes, and all other public or governmental charges or assessments against the property which may be payable on an annual basis shall be adjusted and apportioned as of the date of settlement. And then to be assumed thereafter by the buyer. What that means is, for example, right, taxes are paid a year in advance. So if I buy, I think it's June or July, if I'm not, July to June, I think it's June or July. So let's say I buy a house, I don't know, today, right? I bought a house today. I gotta reimburse whoever I'm buying it from because they already paid the taxes in June. So I gotta reimburse them for June, July, and August, and then I gotta assume the rest of it from there. You get what I'm saying? No, wait a minute, hold on. I think I gotta actually pay them back in full and take it from there because whatever they paid, hold on. No. They don't get back what they already paid when they had it. I would just have to pay what they didn't, the remaining of it. So I said that wrong. So I would have to assume it from where they're at with it, because I'm not going to pay the taxes for them while they was there. Since they paid it up until then, I don't have it. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? So anyway, that's all that means. It ain't really much that you really need to, it's not going to affect nothing. I'm just trying to let you know what this stuff means. So, last paragraph, right? It says, if the seller defaults under the terms of this contract, right, then buyer may pursue all remedies available at law or at equity, including collection of monetary damages and or specific performance of this contract. So that's basically pretty much saying, hey, if the seller decides to back out, then you're not the seller, you're the buyer, right? So that means you can basically go after them in court if you want to try to, sue them or threaten to sue them or whatever. So that way they can go through with the contract. Now it says if the buyer defaults, who is you, the seller may have the right to market the property. So that means if you back out this deal for whatever reason, all the seller can do is market the property. All right. Now it says the parties hereto bind themselves, their heirs, personal representatives, successors, and assigns for the faithful performance of this contract. Okay. So that means that, hey, if let's just say I use this example. Let's say that you're, Lord forbid it happens, but let's say the seller dies, right? Then whoever their personal representative be, remember that personal representative, we talked about probate, or their heirs or whoever, they have to go through with the contract still. That's just an example. So now where you're going to sign where it says buyer, right? And how you're going to sign it is you're going to put 50K Home Buyers LLC. So 50K Home Buyers, comma LLC, and then you're going to write MM, which stands for Managing Member, and then you're going to sign your name and then date it. Again, 50K Home Buyers, comma LLC, MM, like Mark, or Mary, MM, which stands for Managing Member, and then sign your name. Again, 50K Home Buyers, comma LLC, MM, sign your name, date it. Boom, you got a contract. You got a house on the contract now. All right. So this second contract I'm looking at, right? I just switched the slide, everybody. Y'all stay with me, right? This contract I'm showing you now is the exact same contract as the contract I just showed you. The only difference is, right? Look at where it says buyer will pay. It's a little bit. It has information there for a deposit now, because again, you may come across say a savvy investor or somebody who's still motivated, but they want you to give them a deposit. And I'm gonna tell you how you do this too with no cash or credit, right? So basically, let's say so in this line, put 100,000 right where it says buyer will pay, right? $100,000, and then in parentheses put it numerically, right? And then it says of which blank held as a deposit has been paid by cash. So then let's just put $100. I'll just do like 100. Or if let's say they ask for 500 and that's all they're gonna do, right? So just put like 500. So buyer will pay $100,000, of which $500 you're gonna write out five. Let me start from the beginning. Buyer will pay $100,000. Write that out. Parentheses 100,000. Right? Of which $500, write that out, $500, and in parentheses, 500, held as a deposit has been paid by cash at the signing hereof to be held by blank. That's going to be your title company. So let's say your title company is called, 50K Title Company, right? 50K Title Company, right? Until the closing with the balance of the purchase price to be paid at settlement. So the balance of the purchase price would be, if it's 100,000 and you put out 500, then the balance would be 99,500. So look at the paragraph under that. This changes a little bit too, because you put it in now. You talk about deposit. It says at settlement, upon payment as above provided of the unpaid purchase money, right? The unpaid purchase money is the 99,500, because you already put a $500 deposit down according to the contract, right? That's really it. Everything else is the same, right? It's just that little language in there. But if let's say an investor say, hey, or some person that making you put a deposit down, they want 500. It's always important that you have buyers lined up, right? Because as soon as you get it under contract, you got to stall it out. You got to buy yourself some time. If you make an offer over the phone, let's say you make it over the phone, right? And they say, yeah, we'll do it. Or let's say they do it right then and there. Say you right there and you sign the contract and they want a $500 deposit. Well, you don't have no checks on you right now. You got to get with them tomorrow or the day after. You got something going on. You'll make sure you'll get it to them within the 3 or 4 days, whatever. That's going to be your time where you got to find an investor who you can use their money for the deposit once you put it down. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how that will be structured on the assignment contract. Okay, but I just kind of tell you now, like, for example, let's say, you're always going to ask for $1,000 deposit from your end buyer when you assign your contract, because you need $1,000 deposit. But let's just say you need 500 on this one. Now you need a $1,500 deposit, if you get what I'm saying. So everybody get the hang of it once you put it into practice. It's all about putting it into practice, and review this training. Again, if you're joining Alex and I for the 6-month coaching program, we'll be right there with you to take you through all this stuff. So anyway. All right, so let's talk about finding buyers now, right? Because remember, it's important now that we got to find buyers. So we set up our business. We sent out our postcards. We did listability. We know how to find out who owns houses. We know how to make offers. We know about the ARV, the investor formula, how much an investor will pay. We know about repairs. We got the repair sheet. We know what to offer. We know how to go out and put a house under contract. We know how to fill it out. Now we're looking for buyers, right? So let's talk about a few ways to find buyers. And by the way, too, I just want to plug this one more time. Of course, we don't have time tonight to go over all the many ways to find buyers and sellers, but we will be covering that in a 6-month coaching program and pretty much walking everybody through it to make sure that you have a robust, if that's the right word I'm using, list of buyers and sellers, right? So one way to find buyers is using like online classifieds, right? So here's Zillow. What happens is, when investors get properties, they gotta get them rented. And the best way to sell anything or get anything rented is on the internet. So you can go to Zillow, you put in Baltimore, Maryland, right? And then you go to house type and you put in like houses. You're looking for houses, right? And you're looking for, ones that that you can rent. It's almost like you put in for rent. You see that right there on the second little screenshot next to the first one to the right. You're going to click for rent, because really what you're doing is, this will make it real easy. Just act like you're a tenant looking to rent a property. That's the best way I can tell you. Act like you're a tenant looking to rent a property. Contact the landlord, and I'm gonna tell y'all in a minute what to say to these landlords to start building a buyers list. If you're looking at certain areas, put the zip code in, get the houses for rent in those zip codes. But again, very simple. Train your brain to think that you're a tenant looking for a property to go live in, because all you're trying to do is get to the landlord. If you really was a tenant looking for a house to live in, you'll find that landlord. So that's how you got to look at it, all right? So Zillow is one way you can do that. Another way that you can find buyers is in your local newspaper, right? I know in Baltimore, every Sunday we have the real estate section comes out. And in there, what happens is you have a lot of landlords who advertise their properties for rent in the newspaper. So, not only that, though, but you can find out about auctions in the newspaper, right? And auctions are good because you'll have a lot of cash buyer investors there looking for property. So you got to train yourself, baby. It's 95% mindset, it's 5% real estate. These are actionable steps. You have to find out when the auctions are in your area, and you have to go. And you just go and just watch and just, meet people and network. Hey, my name is Mark Whitten. I'm an investor here in Baltimore. I mainly wholesale, and I want to know if I could put you on my buyers list. They're there right now looking for properties. You're bringing them deals. So it's like, yeah, sure, man. Here's my name and number. If you catch me at an auction, I sure want you to put me on your buyers list, because wholesalers got good off-market deals. That's what we're doing. We're out here looking for good off-market deals so we can make that money, right? So anyway, yeah, so you want to look in your newspaper. That's another way to find them, right? Now, another way to find buyers is actually one of my favorite. It's on GoSection8.com. All right, so GoSection8.com is a website where Section 8 tenants go looking for houses to live in. They go to get their RTA, their vouchers or whatever, and then once they get their vouchers, their I guess you want to call it their counselor down at the Go Section 8 will tell them about this website. At Section 8, they'll tell you about GoSection8.com. They'll tell you, hey, go ahead and find a property. So again, you got to train your brain. You got to act like you're you're a tenant looking for a property. So you go on to GoSection8.com. You put in your area. I put in Baltimore, Maryland. And then when I got there, a bunch of houses. If you look at it right where it says sort by last updated, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's like over 1,000 listings on here. And I'm pretty sure some may be duplicate because some investors may have more than one house, but I'm pretty sure you got 600 investors on here. There's no excuse. You know what I mean? And then you just contact the landlord. Again, you see where it says down here at the bottom right-hand corner, the last screenshot, it says contact this landlord. It has his name and phone number. This is a real buyer right here. All right, so once you start finding all these buyers, what do you say to them? Let's talk about it. All right. You call them up. You got their numbers, right? You call them up and you say, hey, my name is Mark Whitten. I'm an investor here in Baltimore. What I do is I find properties well below market value and I sell them to other investors who will either rent them out or sell them for a nice profit. I'm contacting you in hopes that we can build a prosperous business relationship and you will take a look at some of my deals. And they're like, sure, yeah, of course. We'll take a look at some of your deals. So this is a really good script to have. In fact, I will email it to you. So that way you'll have this. I want everybody to print it out. This is homework. I want everybody to go online tomorrow. I want you to go on Zillow, go on GoSection8.com. I definitely want you to pick up your paper this weekend if your real estate section comes out on Sunday. So that way you can start calling landlords, okay, in the paper with the same script. and go to those auctions. Now, you don't have to really use this script at an auction. I mean, I know it's more live. I guess you could take what you know and kind of just, use your own vibe, however you want to go about it. But yeah, I think this would be a good way of doing it. Now, I got a really important announcement to make. All right, I got a really important announcement to make. Before I make this announcement, I want to let everybody know, though, that it looks like people are really signing up for this 6-month coaching program right now at a fast pace. So if you're interested in it, make sure, like I said, we can only take a limited amount of people. So, people signing up already. So go to realestatemoneyclub.com/coaching. All right, that wasn't even really my announcement, but as I see people signing up, I wanted to make it. My big announcement, though, is this, right? We only got about 3 more slides left, and then we're going to announce the winner of that $50,000. And I know y'all been waiting for the last month. I know I've been waiting. I'm excited. I wish everybody could win. You know what? One day, if the Lord blesses me and I become a billionaire, I'm going to do this again. Or y'all mark my words. I'm going to do it. Everybody on here going to get 50,000. There ain't going to be no drawing. Whoever signed up getting 50,000. That's how I'm rolling. So hopefully the Lord will bless me like that one day, because I swear I wish everybody on here could win this money tonight. And that's the only thing that's kind of bad about it, because I know it only could be one winner. But hey, at the end of the day, everybody that's listening to me talk right now is like, this is what I was thinking about, right? Even though everybody, look at this. Tell me if y'all feel me, right? Even though everybody can't win, whoever wins is in the same boat that everybody else is in right now. So that means, let's say 5 people were like, I hope it's me, right? Out of them 5 people, that one person that win was one of those people that was hoping it was them. I don't know. It's just, anyway, keep moving. So let's talk about this real estate assignment contract, right? Because now we got the house under contract, right? We did that. Now we found some buyers, right? Because we already know how to find buyers. We found buyers. Now we're looking for someone to assign our contract to, right? So let's talk about it. This is your real estate assignment agreement. Now, if you printed out your contract, right, I need you to kind of like reference the contract that we just filled out to this one, because all you're doing is using this contract to assign that other contract to somebody else, right? So let's get into it. Now, let's just say we found a buyer the very next day, August 30th, right? Okay. So it says this assignment made this 30th day of August, okay, by and between, let's say the assignor is 50K Home Buyers LLC, because the assignor is us, right? So 50K Home Buyers LLC. Okay, and the assignee is the person who's actually, that's your investor, right? So let's let that be, you can put my name, put Mark Whitten. I like to buy houses, right? So now this assignment made this 30th day of August by and between 50K Home Buyers LLC, assignor, and Mark Whitten, assignee, right? Whereas assignor has previously entered into an agreement of purchase and sale dated, right, August 29th, 2019, okay, with assignor as purchaser of the real property known as 123 Main Street, right, from seller John Doe, for the price of $100,000. Now, I put that money sign there. That's a typo. I want you to write that out, $100,000. And then in parentheses, do it numerically, right? And then it says a copy of which agreement is attached here too. Because remember, when you assign your contract to somebody, they got to see what they're being assigned. So that's why it says a copy of which agreement is attached here too. Like, here's the contract I'm assigning you, right? They got to see what they're being assigned. So let's say we're making $10,000, right? So now, therefore, in consideration of a total assignment fee of $10,000, so write that out numerically, money sign 10,000. Now, therefore, in consideration of a total assignment fee of $10,000 that is to be paid at settlement, right, of which a deposit of $1,000, because we need a deposit from that buyer, right, is to be paid by the date of August 30th, 2019, meaning we need that deposit today. The day we're signing this contract, we need our deposit. We ain't signing it unless we get a deposit. Now, the deposit is to be held in escrow in the form of certified funds. That's a money order or a cashier's check by blank. That's where you're going to put your title company at. So remember, the title company is called 50K Title, I think it was. So in there, so again, this paragraph. Now, therefore, in consideration of a total assignment fee of $10,000 that is to be paid at settlement, of which a deposit of $1,000 to be paid by the date of August 30th, 2019. The deposit is to be held in escrow in the form of certified funds by 50K Title Company. A signer does hereby assign to a signee, and a signee does accept and assume from a signor the right only to buy real property known as 123 Main Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21205. Okay. As a condition of this agreement, a signee must close by a blank, or this agreement will be null and void, right? So I usually give people like 2 weeks to close. So let's see, 2 weeks from the 30th would be, let's see. That would be September 12th. Okay. So as a condition of this agreement, a signee must close by September 12th, 2019, or this agreement will be null and void. Okay, because then, if they don't close in 2 weeks, you should remember you got 30 business days, right, to make something shake. So if they bluff you within that 2 weeks, you'll keep their $1,000 deposit and move on and try to find another buyer. Or you probably have another buyer already on backup because you already went on to all the sites I told you and got a whole bunch of buyers. So you're ready to rock and roll, right? Now, if the assignee does not perform under the terms of this contract and does not settle by September 12th, 2019, the assignee, will release the assignor and seller from this assignment agreement and purchase agreement, and the assignor will retain the deposit as full liquidated damages. Now, this is what this means, right? If assignee, right, who is 50K, the assignee is the person who actually got the property. So that's Mark Whitten. So if assignee Mark Whitten does not perform under the terms of this contract and does not settle by September 12th, 2019, the assignee, who is Mark Whitten, will release the assignor, who is 50K Home Buyers, and the seller, who is John Doe, from this assignment agreement and purchase agreement, right? And the assignor, who is 50K Home Buyers, will retain the deposit as full liquidated damages. That basically means this. If Mark don't close on this deal, then he has to release everybody, because this is how it works. If 50K Home Buyers gets John Doe under contract, then 50K Home Buyers now controls John Doe for the duration of the contract. So if 50K Home Buyers assigns that contract to Mark Whitten, now Mark Whitten controls the whole deal. He controls everybody. So if Mark Whitten don't close, then he got to release everybody.